Hello everyone, Dr. Kevin Zadai and Captain Kevin with Warrior Notes. Just wanted to come to you and talk to you a little bit about some of the things I've learned in aviation, and all of you out there that are interested in being pilots. I want to tell you all that this is an amazing thing that God has done to give us technology to be able to fly. And you know, there's a lot of things involved with flying and being a pilot. So I want to talk to you a little bit about this. And one of the things that we all have to deal with in this life is fear. Now, fear is being afraid of something. And a lot of times we're afraid of something because we just don't understand it or know enough about it. A lot of times fear is just based on feelings or something that's just in our mind. It's imagined. Once you understand something or you've done something over and over again, the fear will go. So one of the things about achieving being a pilot and understanding training and flight training, it's very intense. In other words, it's not easy and it's not normal. So it's just like anything else. When you learned how to ride a bike, you know, I remember when I first rode a bike, I was really afraid, and you know, I thought it was impossible. But eventually, after practicing and having help from my parents, I was able to balance and actually ride my bike. And you know, it became so easy, but I think back on what I thought the first time, you know, it just seemed impossible. And so I'm telling you, don't be afraid. The Lord doesn't give us that spirit of fear. He gives us a spirit of love and of power and of a sound mind. And so what happened to me was I had to get back into flying. I had been away from it for 20 years. I had gotten my licenses to fly, and then I had just left it for a while because God had me doing other things. And so when He told me to go and start flying again, I was really like nervous because, you know, think about 20 some years of not flying an airplane. And so I was told to start to fly this airplane, which is really, it's just a single engine airplane, but it's very high performance.
We've got a turbo, so when we push the power up for takeoff, and let's just go through the whole sequence, because you're going to do it, not me, okay? So the whole sequence is you've got a nose wheel, you've got the nose wheel, and it's not nose wheel steering. So somewhere I've got to transition my feet on takeoff roll. So when I get on the runway, the thing I do, and that works the best, is I get on the runway and I try to be at a fast taxi. So I'm taxiing, but I might be just a little bit fast for the taxi, okay? And I get on the center line.
And this particular airplane, even though it's just one single engine and it actually has a propeller, this right now brand new is over $1 million to actually buy one of these. And so I got to learn in this one. I remember going out and starting to fly and thinking, this is so high performance, you know, it's just more complicated than anything that I had flown up until that time. I remember, you know, going out twice a day, flying and practicing in this. And at first I was afraid because I didn't understand it or know it, and it was a lot faster, a lot more powerful. And, you know, after like a week of flying this, I got really accustomed to it. And so it's the same thing with just when I learned how to ride a bike, and just like with you, there's a lot of things that you just don't understand at the time. But after you practice and you get used to it, you will get better at it and gain confidence. So I encourage you, because after I flew this, I went and got got all the license I needed and went to jets. Now in a jet, it's way more complicated, way faster, more powerful. So I went from this to flying the F-104. Now the F-104 is probably the hottest, the most complicated and fastest, highest fighter that's ever been made. And so I flew this at NASA, down there in Florida, but I again experienced this anticipation of being overwhelmed. I was anticipating it to be a certain way.
It'll be a takeoff. We'll just pop up over the top, over the vehicle assembly building, and we'll turn back around and descend back in, same as we're doing the thing, only we're not going to do it from 25,000, we'll be probably at 15,000.
And when I got into this airplane after going through the training, I thought, man, this is really a lot more than what I thought. So I remember being strapped into this, and you have to have an ejection seat in these kind of airplanes to get out of them because of their high performance, and you got to be able to get out of the airplane if it's on fire or something happens. And so they strap you in really tight, and I had to wear a parachute, and I had to, it was so crammed and tight in there. Thanks, guys.
So on your left-hand side, there's your belt strap.
Okay.
The buckle. Nope. Right.
And at first, I started to feel the same thing when I got on a bicycle when I was younger, and then also what I felt after not flying for over 20 years. And so the process of flying and what you encounter in life, anything, change when you encounter something new is going to have this feeling of being overwhelmed and being afraid. So with this airplane, all the other airplanes prepared me for this airplane. But even then, it was quite a press, because when we took off, we pulled straight up and went really high, really fast. And the whole flight, you could just hardly move in there. I was flying the airplane, but it was so tight, and everything was so high performance, I felt like I was literally strapped onto a rocket. And I just want to tell you that in life, if you ever want to achieve anything, you're going to have to experience things that are new, which experiencing things that are new might feel intimidating. In other words, you might feel afraid. But just remember that God has your life in His hands, and He's wanting you to develop in your life and get smarter and encounter other things, and new things. So don't ever let fear take a hold of you to where you're paralyzed. Let God chase out that fear and give you a spirit of love and a power and of a sound mind. So remember that Captain Kevin went through this, many stages, in his life, and you can do this. You've got to allow God to tell you what it is your pathway is. Let Him speak to you. And then you just go and you start to read about it, you start to study, and you become really good at it. So whatever it is that God's called you to, He's going to show you. But then once He shows you, there's going to be times in your life and times during the learning process where it's going to feel overwhelming. but don't worry about it because God's got you. God bless you. See you next time. Bye-bye.